Ministry mergers can be such an exciting new chapter. But let's be real, they can also be incredibly challenging. This isn't really about logos or combining bank accounts, right? It's about bringing together two different families with two totally different histories. And that can get complicated. So today, we're going to dive into how to navigate this transition and really build a truly unified church. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Two histories, two cultures, two sets of loyal people, forced into one room. You're literally taking two distinct families, each with its own way of doing things, its own inside jokes, its own stories, and you're asking them to become one, practically overnight. It's like an emotional pressure cooker, and it's totally normal to feel that strain.
So what actually happens when these two worlds collide? Let's start by looking at some of the telltale signs. I'm talking about the things you might hear whispered in the hallways or in the parking lot after service. Those little comments that show the cracks are just starting to form.
Does any of this sound familiar? You hear things like, these new people, or there are constant comparisons to how things used to be done. It just automatically creates this clear divide, this us versus them mentality. It's a huge red flag that loyalties are becoming tribal. People start picking sides, and a lot of the time, they don't even realize they're doing it.
Okay, but to really get to the heart of this, we can't just react to the comments we hear. We have to go deeper. We got to look underneath the surface and figure out the root causes. We have to ask ourselves, what's really going on here?
So what is happening underneath it all that's fueling this division? I can tell you it's almost never about the simple stuff, like the worship style or the color of the carpet. No, it usually comes down to three really powerful undercurrents.
First off, it's about identity. For so many of us, our church is more than just a building we go to on Sunday. It's a massive part of who we are. So a merger can feel like that identity is being erased, or at least watered down. It feels like a genuine loss, like you're grieving your church. And that is a powerful emotion to work through.
And then there's security. Change always brings a level of uncertainty, right? People start asking those quiet questions in their head. Where do I fit in now? Will my gifts still be valued? Do we still matter in this new thing? That fear of the unknown can make people cling so tightly to what's familiar, and that's where the resistance comes from.
And finally, there's comparison. It's just human nature, isn't it? But in a church merger, it can turn into this subtle, unspoken contest. Which side was stronger, deeper, more correct spiritually? It creates this quiet competition right at a time when what you desperately need is a unified team pulling in the same direction.
Now, this brings us to a really crucial point of self-reflection. It's pretty easy to spot these issues in other people, but we have to be willing to look in the mirror and ask the hard question. Is my own heart drifting away from unity?
So let's just be honest with ourselves for a second. Are you using that we versus they language? Are you maybe weaponizing nostalgia, always talking about the good old days as a way to criticize what's happening now? Or maybe it's more subtle. Maybe it's a kind of silent protest where you show up physically, but you're withholding your heart, your engagement. These are serious warning signs of a drifting heart.
Okay, so we've kind of diagnosed the problem. But the good news is there's absolutely a path forward. There's a path to unity. It really involves 5 key, actionable steps that can help us shift our mindset from division to a true from-the-heart loyalty.
Think of these 5 steps as your roadmap. They're designed to move you from just an internal acceptance to real external action. They'll guide you toward becoming a force for unity in your new church home. So let's break each one of them down.
Step 1 is the absolute foundation for everything else: radical acceptance. You have to look yourself in the mirror and say plainly and directly, the old season is over. God is doing something new right now. Trying to cling emotionally to the old way while your body is sitting in the new way, that's just a recipe for making yourself and everyone around you miserable.
Step 2 is all about re-anchoring your loyalty. It is so easy to place our loyalty in a brand, a certain style of worship, or a former pastor's name. But this is where we have to make a crucial shift in perspective. Our ultimate loyalty isn't to a logo, it's to Christ. It's to His gospel and to His purpose for this house right now.
All right, step 3 is super practical. Watch your words, because language creates reality. When you consciously decide to drop phrases like our side and instead adopt unifying terms like our church or this house, you are actively healing the divide with every single sentence. Your words become the building blocks for unity.
Step 4 is about finding that healthy, beautiful balance. It is absolutely right to honor the past. We should remember the testimonies and respect the former leaders who got us here. but you have to make a conscious choice to invest your energy here, in the present. That means serving with a full heart under the new structure and actively putting a stop to that destructive cycle of comparison.
And finally, step 5, visible support. This is not passive agreement, this is active participation. It means you pray for your new leadership, you defend them from unfair criticism, and you become a person who helps others adjust. When you do that, you become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You don't just reflect the temperature in the room, you help set it. You stabilize the whole atmosphere.
So, with all of this in mind, what does this actually look like day to day? Well, it really comes down to the story you're telling yourself. It's about your inner script.
Start with this powerful declaration. Make a conscious personal decision that you will not participate in the gossip, the side-taking, or the division. You're going to be an agent of peace, period.
This next one goes right back to step 2. It's a constant reminder that recalibrates your heart. It pulls your focus away from old logos and old names and puts it squarely on Jesus and the leadership he has established for this new season.
And this final thought really ties it all together beautifully. It's a statement that holds the past with respect, but commits your energy, your passion, and your whole heart to the present and to the future. It's all about being fully planted right where God has you.
Because ultimately, it all boils down to this one question. In the middle of all this change and uncertainty, you have a choice. You can invest your heart in the past, feeding division and frustration, or you can invest it in what God is building today, becoming a vital part of creating one strong, unified house. The choice really is yours.